what I'm hearing from this time together for you is it really starts with you really having a belief in yourself. Like you had that belief in yourself from a young boy. What would you say, Eric, to people who they don't have that self-esteem? They just don't feel like they can compete, they can do it, they don't have that belief in themselves. Can we cultivate that belief in ourselves to be more like that?
Absolutely. Not only can you cultivate that, you have an even greater obligation to yourself, your ancestors, your future generations to get unstuck, as I look at it. I looked at my situation and realized, I looked back, okay, how was my father raised? How was my mom raised? Okay. They had a much worse childhood than I did. They did better for me. And so each generation, even if you start down and out, you have to pick that up. You have to believe in yourself, even through things like affirmations and things that they're not going to feel natural to you at first. It's because you've been stuck in a negative feedback loop. It's because you've been born into a situation that doesn't serve you. It's not conducive to your well-being. And if you have any doubts about that, look around. Are you happy? Is your family happy? If you don't believe in yourself, that's because you're lacking in that certainty, and that leads to a lack of self-esteem, a lack of confidence, a lack of energy. I mean, it leads to all kinds of negative things, but the bottom line is you have to be willing to be your own hero. You have to create that version of yourself in your mind and think, okay, if I was my ideal self, what would that look like? What would I speak like? How would I carry myself? And you have to just start by literally creating yourself in your own mind as sort of an avatar. It's someone that you're not right now, but it's someone that under the right circumstances you could be. And when you do that, you give yourself permission to start becoming that. And that is becoming and doing your best. And so I personally started out on that negative side of things. I was told, you know, and again, I love my parents. I'm not bashing them, but I was told, just don't think about doing things like that. Yeah, you're not. You need to get realistic. You're not going to be a millionaire. You don't waste your time on this, on that. You need to get a job. You need to go to school. You need to do this. And I think they were sincerely trying to do what they felt, do and say what they felt was best for me. But guess what? The sooner you learn that your parents aren't any more qualified than you are most times to guide you and to lead you in the right direction, the better, because they didn't know what they were talking about. They had the right intentions, but it doesn't mean they have the right answers. At the end of the day, you're the only person that's that can be accountable and will be accountable for your life. And for that, you have to own everything that you do, for better or worse, success or failure. You have to lead yourself and become who you could be. And that involves taking on the responsibility of life, doing your best, and putting forth that relentless effort. Start where you are. If you're stuck, if you can't even think straight, start with that and just work on unraveling, following the rope, as I say. And one of the best habits that can fast track that process is writing notes. It not like a diary necessarily, but think of notes as a tool, pen and paper, that allows you to actually organize your mind. the contents of your mind. When you write it out in notes, when you organize your thoughts, what's serving me, what's not serving me. That's a great place to start. These habits, which I will say I'm creating these free resources for the podcast because I end up explaining some of these things again and again. And I actually want to put out templates, just free resources, free guides that people can use. And you'll be able to find that at RDO Podcast. So you can use these resources, but start there, start today. Just start sorting out your mind on pen and paper. You'll be amazed at how refreshed, organized, and rejuvenated you feel with that internal clarity. And these are some of the first steps that it takes, but it goes back to the same principles. You can do what you will do. If you want to get unstuck, if you want to reach a certain level, if you want to have a certain life, you have to work for it. You have to earn it. Even if you started way back here or way up here, we all have our own struggles. And I spent many years on the gas and the brake at the same time. So I think there's a book, I haven't read it yet, but there's actually a book called Release Your Brakes. I've been told that's a great book. I probably should have read it earlier, but I learned the hard way to release my brakes. So don't struggle needlessly. Don't be your own worst enemy. Too often we create our own confines, and it's not until you give yourself permission to do differently that you can actually do better and enjoy a much higher quality of life, enjoy a much more fulfilling life.